Hi everyone and welcome to the TurtleBite YouTube channel. I'm Gary and today I'm going to be doing another action figure unboxing and review video. So let's go and check out the figure. And so first let's take a look at the packaging here for this deluxe release of the Masterverse Masters of the Universe movie Skeletor. So straight away, like all the Masterverse packaging, it's in this beautiful window box, and like all the deluxe releases so far, it is this bigger packaging, and the reason I say deluxe release is because I feel that, as explained in the He-Man movie video as well, I believe that Mattel has made this a deluxe release just to try and keep costs down, because they've more than likely had to license all these designs from William Stout, who was the production designer of the Masters of the Universe movie. So just to, rather than say having the prices up at what they would be if you were paying for the Super 7 release when they came out, Mattel has made just these figures a deluxe release just to try and keep the cost down, but still, you know, have us as customers just absorb a bit of that licensing fee cost as well. So, I mean, it's still wonderful to have this figure from Mattel and have it in the Masterverse line. And with that, taking a look at the packaging here, straight along the top, we have the Masterverse logo. We have the 30 points of articulation call out, and that's for most of the Masterverse figures as well. We then have the barcode over here. Then moving down, we have our Masters of the Universe logo, followed by the Skeletor name at the bottom there. And then in the actual window box here, over in this far side, we have Skeletor's sword from the movie. Now we'll take a look at this when I'm looking at the accessories, but this is very similar, you'll see, to the sword that He-Man uses in the movie. And it's often been believed that this is because this is Skeletor's half of the power sword, similar to the lore from the original Masters of the Universe mini comics, where the power sword was split in half, with He-Man having one half, Skeletor having the other. And then moving over, we have Skeletor's Havoc staff from the movie. This is another iconic design from the movie, and a beautiful design that we'll get a better look at when I'm looking at the accessories in their own. Then in the middle, we have Skeletor himself, played memorably and iconically in the movie by the late great Frank Langella. Then moving over, we have the alternate hands here for Skeletor, and then down the bottom we have the cosmic key from the movie, and I do believe this is the cosmic key that we see Skeletor with at the beginning of the movie. We know from the movie this was the first one that Grohl made, before he made the one that was used then by He-Man to escape from Skeletor in Grayskull to Earth. So with that, I'm just going to take a look now at the other side of the packaging here. And now on the side of the packaging here, as with all Masterverse figures, we have the name of the character. So we can see here, big block capital Skeletor, and then a little descriptive subtitle for them as well, and it says Evil Tyrant of Eternia. So with that, I'm just going to take a look now at the far side of the box here, just the left hand side. And here we have the left hand side of the packaging, and on this side we have this beautiful piece of art depicting Frank Langella as he appeared as Skeletor in the movie. And this piece of art, I believe, was done by the artist Eamon O'Donoghue, who is well known in the Masters of the Universe community as being a huge Masters of the Universe fan and being a huge fan of the Masters of the Universe movie. But as well as that, as far as I'm aware, Eamon is also responsible for all of the art that's appeared so far on all of the Masterverse packaging. So he's done all the art you would see in the side, as well as the art you see in the back of the packages as well, which, speaking of, I'm just going to turn around and have a look at that now. And so here we have the back of the packaging with this beautiful full panel painted image of Skeletor in the throne room of the movie's Castle Grayskull as he prepares for a confrontation with He-Man. And if you're wondering why there's only sort of half of the throne of Grayskull here, the reason for that is the first half of the image comes with the Masters of the Universe Masterverse movie He-Man figure. So on the back of his box there is the corresponding half of the image showing He-Man, and when you connect both of the packages together, the two backs of the boxes form one full image, and it's just a beautiful full painted image of He-Man and Skeletor just running towards each other as they're about to clash in battle. And so here on the far right hand side then of the packaging, we have just Skeletor, an evil tyrant of Eternia, same as we looked at earlier on the side of the box, but then below that we have a bit of a description of Skeletor and the plot of the movie. So here it says, the nefarious sorcerer finally conquered Eternia. He made the mighty sorceress his prisoner. The secrets of Castle Grayskull were his for the taking, but for one nuisance, He-Man. Though his foe evaded capture using the cosmic key, Skeletor hunts him down so he may absorb all the power of the cosmos and declare himself the master of the universe. So, for anyone who's not seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything, but what I will say is this description here, this is just the start of the movie, this is just the setup. It's not spoiling anything for later on, although Skeletor does have 2 looks in the movie, and it would be very cool to see his second look in the Masterverse line as well. You know, again, I won't spoil it for anyone who doesn't know. It did come out along with this look here in Super 7's releases, but it would be very cool for us to get a Masterverse release of that look for him as well. And then speaking as well of Masterverse, down here we have the cross sell for the rest of this Masterverse wave, beginning again with movie He-Man. Then we have Sorceress of Grayskull Evil Lyn from Masters of the Universe Revelation. Then we have Frosta from Princesses of Power. Then we have Roboto as he appears in Masters of the Universe Revelation. And then we have New Eternia Stratos. And then the last thing we have then is just a little Mattel logo down here at the bottom, and then just their little statement as well of empowering the next generation through play. So with that, let's take a look at the figure now out of the box here. Alright, so here we go. Here we have the figure outside of the packaging, and straight away this is just a beautiful sculpt, a incredibly detailed sculpt. You know, it just looks amazing in my opinion. One of the really fun and interesting things for me with this figure is, like the movie He-Man, there are so many details here that I never noticed before on the costume in the movie. For instance, the first thing that stood out to me was these futuristic looking gauntlets here that Skeletor has. So I never really noticed these in the movie. Certainly not the details on them, you know, the little like buttons or studs here on the side. And then we kind of have like further buttons here and, you know, panels there. Like this is very fascinating. You know, I was so busy, I would say, watching Franklin Gill in the movie and just being captivated by how great he was as Skeletor that I never really noticed these finer details of the costume. Speaking of finer details, like one of the things that I've found quite interesting as well is this belt buckle that Skeletor has here. To me, it's like a Japanese Oni mask. Now, I don't know if that was the influence or not, but to me, straight away, it reminds me so much of that. Just because you have this face here, you know, it's almost like a grimacing face, especially with the black and the red. It really gives me that Oni vibe. You know, it could have so easily been a skull, or could have been a bat, or could have been like Hordak's bat, you know, something from the Masters figures and comics, but instead it's just something unique to the Skeletor figure and just gives him just an extra bit of personality that I find really, really cool here. And then, like, moving up from it, we have this armor that he wears here at the top, and these shoulder pauldrons that he has for his armor as well. And to me, they look almost like a beetle's carapace, like a beetle's shell, their body. The way, you know, it just kind of has these lines running off here, especially with the purple and the black. Moving around here, you know, to the pauldron, you have this raised area in the middle of the pauldron. You have like little studs, and again, the lines coming off these almost look like a beetle's legs here. You know, I think that's fascinating, you know, that design, and I wonder, maybe was that a choice there as well, you know, to kind of give him that kind of look of, you know, not just armor but stylized armor, you know, basing it on a real world thing. And I love as well is that, you know, straight away so much of the figure is black and silver here. The hood, you know, the hood on the cloak is brown, but then straight away with these are purple and black, and then splashes are red there in the clasps, and the same with the belt buckle as well. You know, it's all black, but these splashes are red. And then, you know, coming off it, we have these tassels here running down, and these are separate pieces here on the figure. Now they're solid rubber, but they are a little flimsy at the top here, so you can see I'm just moving them at the bottom just to kind of show you. So you just have to be careful because they're attached here, I believe, by glue at the top, so just be careful those don't break off. If they do, all being well, I would say a wee bit of super glue should allow you to put those back on. But they're quite interesting the way these tassels come down with the black and the silver, and you have the studs on them here as well. Almost looks like small little designs on them too. And then moving from them, you know, if we just go down here, I hesitate to call this a skirt just because I don't know the proper name, but we have this, you know, this bottom piece, this like skirt piece for Skeletor, and this is fascinating because this is black and armored as well. You have these plates here running along the, you know, the bottom 2/3 of it, and what's fascinating is each row has a different little symbol on it. You know, things like what looks like a skull here, and you know, you have lines in one, and you have, it looks like a spider kind of a symbol, and another one that looks a bit like a, almost sort of like a cat maybe. You know, not like a traditional cat, but almost like a, oh, I can't remember the name of an Egyptian, the Egyptian breed of cats, but something like that, you know, which is really fascinating. I can't remember the name now offhand. That's going to bug me. And then if we move around to the back of the figure here, we have this lovely soft goods cape for him as well. This is just a soft, light material, same material as on the movie He-Man cape, and you can see it's quite thin there, just lets the light through. Unlike the He-Man cape, there's no extra design in this, it's just a plain brown cape. And then moving up, this is, I believe, attached here onto the armour, but then going over it, we just have this cloak piece as well. So this here in the back is actually 3 separate pieces. So you have the cloak, the actual soft goods cloak I should say, you have the hard plastic cloak here with this little gold clasp there at the bottom. So this is a piece that just goes over the shoulders, just goes over the armour here. Then we have the hood, which we'll take a better look at when I'm looking at the articulation in the figure. But this is just a solid mould on top of the head, and you can see it just has this big long piece of the cloak just running down the back here as well. So if you were, I would say, take the head off, you could then take this off, this molded plastic of the cape, and then you would have the self cape underneath. This just seems to be, just if I lift this up, this just seems to be glued in there, just underneath there. And so with that, yeah, like, what fascinates me looking at this figure, the more I look at it, the more you know, like with this skirt piece especially, this is very feudal Japan to me, very samurai inspired, and especially with the tassels running down here. And I wonder, was that a conscious or maybe unconscious influence for William Stout when he was designing this costume for Skeletor? You know, to give him that armoured look, you know, like a bit of a, maybe a feudal warlord, you know. Like, it's incredibly striking and suits him perfectly. But I just find it fascinating, you know, was that an influence here? You know, was that a deliberate influence, or as I say, or was it a subconscious influence? Maybe he wasn't aware when he was designing it. Something else as well that I find interesting the more I looked at it, is you see here on Skeletor's hands, we just put them down, you have these little metal kind of rods running to the knuckles here, like reinforcing the fists. And as I was looking at them, it reminded me a lot with the gauntlet here of the Nintendo Power Glove. Now, I don't say that as a joke or anything, you know, just in case anyone thinks that, but I thought that was fascinating because the Nintendo Power Glove would have been out already when the movie was released, and I wonder, at least I'm almost certain the movie came out in '87 from memory, and I'm almost certain the Power Glove was out then too. So if anyone doesn't know the Nintendo Power Glove, go and Google it, YouTube it. It's a fascinating bit of video game history, bit of Nintendo history. And looking at this, I do wonder Was this an influence on these gauntlets for Skeletor? You know, again, was it a conscious influence? Was it a subconscious influence? You know, I just find it fascinating that it's very similar with, you know, presumably this is the glove here, and then the glove maybe connects to the gauntlet and giving Skeletor maybe a bit of extra power here. That's hence with these little rods here running to the fists are. Maybe, you know, it's just giving him extra strength there, coming from the gauntlets. So yeah, as I say, like, just a endlessly cool, fascinating figure here. And before I forget, last wee thing is you have his boots here as well. So these are just solid black on the bottom of the boots here, and then on the knee guards here, these are sprayed silver, and then you have a little skull here at the top of the boot as well, and this is on both boots. So that's quite interesting that there is that little bit of a skull motif worked on there as well. And then the final thing, just because I have to end this beautiful recreation of the mask that Frank Langella wore as Skeletor, that iconic bone white mask that he wore as he played Skeletor in the movie, and it just straight away you just look and you know it's him. And that's what's really nice about this figure is you know, because it's part of the costume, there's no actor likeness rights like there was with He-Man. We're trying to get Dolph Lundgren, so whereas that figure, you kind of approximation of what Dolph Lundgren looks like, but not really. With this, straight away, this is Skeletor, this is how he looked in the movie, and I love that. I just think that's great. So with that now, let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation here in the figure and get a really good look at that 30 points of articulation they mentioned on the box form. Okay, so let's take a look at the articulation in the figure now. So we'll start here with the head. So because of this sculpted hood, there is going to be limited articulation, limited movement here in the head. So just to begin, you can move it left and right, but it is very slight. It's stopped by this little chin piece here at the bottom and by the piece on the back here. So you can see just again where they're just catching on this lower part of the cloak here, and then if we move around to the back, we have this part of the hood is just catching on the lower part of the cloak as well, and this unfortunately is going to be a problem for moving the head backwards and forwards. So moving it forwards, this part is going to catch again, so you can just see there where it's catching, and then on the back, the back piece is going to be the piece that catches, making it difficult to put it down. Then moving on to the upper torso here, there is a ball joint here, so this gives you good roll there on that ball joint, gives you a slight bit of movement to the right and to the left there, and then below that there is another ball joint here at the waist. That gives you a good bit of movement there just to move the figure around as well. So you can just see that there. Now obviously do be careful because these tabards here, I believe is what they're called, I called them tassels earlier, they will move with the torso and the chest as well, because they are connected to this upper piece. Then moving over to the arms here, we have just the standard articulation here in the arms. So we have a hinge here at the shoulder. Now this is going to be hindered by this shoulder pauldron here as well. So if we just lift that up, you can see there that that is only going up about halfway, not as far as it could, and it's being stopped there again by this lower piece as well. So the pauldron's just hitting that as it tries to go up. Now in saying that, you can still rotate the arm a full 360 past that lower part of the cloak there and the hood. So we just twist that around there. You can see just ever so slightly where that's just coming back around. Then we have a swivel at the bicep here, so just see there just where that swivel is coming in there now. Oops, so it is a bit tight there as it tries to go past that pauldron, but you can see there as it does that. Then here at the elbow we've double jointed hinge there at the elbow, so we'll just bend this in. There we go, so you can just see there where that's just going in there, and just bend that back out and just bend it in once more just to show you here. that's how far. So it doesn't come across too far just because of the muscle here, but it still comes forward a good distance there. And then we have a swivel at the wrist here. So we'll just turn this around slowly there just to show. So there is a full 360-degree swivel. And then there is a hinge here as well. So it can hinge down there. And it can hinge up as well. So we'll just hinge it up there just to show just how far it can come up. And if we just lift it up there just to give a bit of a better idea. So again, it can hinge down and hinge up. So we just hinge it back up here. There you go. And then it is the exact same articulation here on the left arm right down to the wrist. So there is a swivel at the wrist as well. The only difference here, if we just lift it up, is the hinge. So the hinge will hinge backwards and hinge forwards. So you can see there just where it's coming in there with the hinge. So that's the only difference there, is the right hand will hinge, this one here will hinge up and down, whereas the left hinge will go backwards and forwards. And then moving down to the legs here, so just to lift this up, just trying to be a little bit careful here, just to show you the legs are on ball joints here. So if we just lift them out, so they are on ball joints. Now the movement will be a bit hindered here, so the leg can come forwards and can go backwards. You can get a good bit of motion there going backwards. It can also swing out here, so if we just lift it up, so you can get a good bit of a lift there, just taking it out and then just pulling the leg back in here. And then if I lift this up again just to show you, there is a swivel here at the thigh. So it's a little bit dark here just because of this lower part here, so we just lift that, get a bit more light. So there you go, you can see the thigh swivel there. There is double jointed knees here as well, and these are quite flexible, the hinges on these. So we'll just bend those back. Oh, do apologize, just having a little bit of bother here. Just lift them up into the light. So there you go, you can see there is quite a far hinge there. You can bend the leg practically right back there. And then with that then as well, there is a swivel here at the boot cut. So we'll just swivel that round. And then finally then there is a hinge and a swivel here at the ankle. So it can hinge downwards and upwards. You can just hopefully see there. And there is a swivel or a rocker ankle here as well. So that's the boot cut. Why don't we just hold on to that a second? So the ankle can just swivel in there, and it can swivel out and around as well, and you can just swivel it a full 360 near enough. And you just have to be careful there because of the hinge as well. But there you see, so we'll just again just that rocker swivel there. And then it is the exact articulation on that right leg as it is here on this left leg. So ball joint, and then you have your thigh swivel here, you have your double jointed hinge for the knees, you have your swivel at your boot cut, and you have your hinge and your swivel slash rocker ankle at the ankle hinge here as well. And so that's everything there. So that's the full articulation of the figure. Great range of motion for it, and pretty standard as well for the Masterverse line, but still not something in my opinion to be snuffed at. It's a great range of articulation for this figure. So with that now, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the accessories for the figure. Okay, and so begin with the accessories. The first one I have to take a look at here is Skeletor's Havoc staff from the movie. So this is a really great looking accessory, and obviously like a brilliant prop in the movie as well. You can see here, just turn it around, just how elaborate the ram head here is at the top of the staff. I could be wrong, but this certainly feels like the most elaborate Havoc staff for Skeletor that I've ever seen. Just the fact that, you know, there's so many details here. The fact we have the ram, we have this spike coming out at the top here, almost as if maybe it was a spear at one point, and then around the back here, you know, we have this circular design with the spokes coming off it here, and then moving further down, you know, we have these little bits here. And, you know, as I look at it now, something, again, just details in the figure and the accessories here with something I never realized, never would have thought on, is I think the purpose of this might have been that this was potentially a spear originally, and I'm basing that on the fact that we have the blade here, and especially I can't remember the name for these, but just these two bits here as well. These are very common. This is from a spear design that I've seen before, so it does make me wonder, is this a staff that started as a spear, and then when Skeletor found it or created it, you know, he added all these extra details on it. But this is just fantastic looking. It's just such a great accessory for the figure, and just so iconic in its own right. And on the figure here, this is all just solid plastic. So this is all solid plastic top, just molded on to the top of the staff here. It's done in a metallic silver here, and that's just the main colour there. So I'm guessing this was probably just painted on, and it was all molded to begin with in this black. So you can see here in the staff then, it's just a long staff just with these rings around it here, I would imagine for grip, and then just coming down into a small point and a ball then at the end. And so moving on then from the Havoc staff, the next one we'll take a look at, obviously it has to be Skeletor's sword. So we'll just get a bit of a grip on this here just to show. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that this to me looks very similar to He-Man's sword, and you can see so it's molded, the blade here in the same grey plastic there as the blade that comes with the He-Man, but then the main design here is obviously the cross guard here. But what's interesting is this one of Skeletor's has this little skull on it, which is quite interesting. And then whereas He-Man's cross guard was in gold, with the gold pommel in at the bottom, and a brown, I believe, leather wrapped hilt was the design. This is just molded all cross guards just in grey here. We have a black grip here as well. This almost looks like maybe the actual prop was a wooden grip, just there's little grooves here caught into it there, and then we have the pommel here at the bottom, and this is a fairly solid plastic here as well. So this is just a really cool great design there for Skeletor's sword, and as I say, just a nice complement to He-Man's sword as well. And if you like, you know, you can have it that they are two halves of the power sword, with He-Man having one and Skeletor having the other. And then the next accessory we have here then is going to be the Cosmic Key, one of the key items there from the movie. So we'll just turn this around here just so you can see all the details here. So this is mainly, we have the purple here at the top of the key, then we have the silver painted around here as well. Now you can sort of see the little forks here coming around, so these obviously a bit more pronounced than the movie, a bit easier to see, but you can just about see them there as well. And then down below we have all in gold here. I believe this is the actual keys of the Cosmic Key to play the tune that obviously turns it on and operates it. and then we have our little brown strap here as well, just so that can be held onto, or you know, in theory it could be hung onto someone's belt if they had the loop for it. And then just down the bottom with the little spikes there. So this is all just one solid piece, just painted there in the 3 different colors. And then the last, then we have not technically accessories, but for purpose of this, we'll include them with it. So we have the alternate hands here for Skeletor. So we have an alternate left hand. This is an open hand, so we can just see there where it's open, and like the others, we can see the hinge here for it. And this, like the left hand that's on the figure at the minute, this hinges backwards and forwards. So we'll just move over a little bit just so you can see that. So again, just backwards, and then hinges forwards. And then we have that detail as well just on the glove there, which is quite interesting, quite cool. Just that metallic detail on the bones there, and the knuckles, and then the fingers as well. And then we have an alternate right hand here for Skeletor as well. So this is a closed fist hand, and again we can see that design in the back, the silver on the thumb there. And what this is different from the other right hand that is on the figure at the minute is this is a different hinge. So this is like the left hand hinges, where this again hinges backwards and forwards. So just move that slightly there. So again, just backwards and forwards, whereas the other hand for the right hand hinges up and down. And so that's for the accessories. And so the last thing then is, well, let's just have a look now at the figure in some interesting cool poses that you can put him into. So thank you so much for checking out the video. Really hope you liked it. If you did, please don't hesitate to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in checking out my video for the movie He-Man from the Masterverse line, you can check that out right over here. Otherwise, until the next video, all the best everybody. Bye.